Hello, everybody. How are you all? Thank you guys for being here. Sorry about the brief delay. Hey, Nana Banana. Hey, Crime Crochet and Coffee. Hey, Show Me Otani. Tony. Hello, Melissa. Hey, Katie Rose. JC. Good to see you. Hey, Lil Red. Hey, David. B Crumb. Shay Benet. K Braze. Adrian. How are you guys? I'm looking forward to this today. So I will tell you, I get comments often about this case, and if I will cover it, sorry, you guys, there's a little bit going on behind me, but if I will cover it again, because I spent a lot of time covering this case. I have said many times, though, I think that I do regret my coverage of this case, and we're going to do things a little differently this time. So, the first thing is that we're not going to talk about anything from social media. We're going to go all the way back to the beginning. I truly do believe that social media caused a lot of issues with this case and damaged them a lot. There's tons of rumors, tons of parents' interviews, things like that, and I don't even want to touch those. So, if you have seen any of that, hey, B Crumbs, hey, Katie, hey, Crumb Sleuthin', if you have seen any of that today, just try to let it leave your mind, because we're going to look at this in a way that we've never looked at it before. Hey, Melissa. So yeah, I have pulled a bunch of stuff from the beginning, going all the way back. Let me get her flyer up really quick. So Summer Moon Utah Wells. She went missing on June 15th of 2021 from Rogersville, Tennessee. Her case has been very popular on YouTube, but honestly, not talked about a ton, especially recently, as far as local news and stuff goes. Her parents had been out and went on Dr. Phil, the behavioral panel. Did a review of that. We all know about that. We know that a retired law enforcement officer also started reporting on the case and kind of brought in different elements with her dad and his past and stuff like that. So what I want us to do is today just forget all of it. We're going to go back and look at it, everything that police put out. We're going to look at things that the local news put out, but we're not going to touch anything from social media. I truly believe that social media is part of the reason that there hasn't been a resolution. Hey, Kimmy. Hey, Neat Noodle. Hey, Tiff. Tess. Shani. Hey, Amber. Good to see you guys. Justice for Summer. So, hey, Amber Lou. Let me just show you guys a little bit of what I grabbed. And we'll go ahead and start with. So, I've dated them down here, but like this here, for instance, this is TBI's press conference on June the 16th of 2021. Then we have June the 18th, Dawn Wells does two interviews, actually, one with the Times News and then one on the local news. Oh, didn't mean to do that. As with his boy with him, okay? Then those are both on the 18th. Then on June the 24th, we got another press briefing on the search for Summer. And then on, June 29th, her parents did their first interview with the television. We will go back to that because it's the news. I don't want to, like I said, we're going to leave out social media stuff. Then we go into July of 2021, and this is when Ansley Daniel, who is a local news anchor who has covered it extensively, goes on Court TV to talk about it. So today we're going to start with those things. This is going to be a part one, and we'll just see how far we get. Let's see, hey, Unseen. Hey, Roxanne. Just making sure I don't miss anything in the chat before we go. Hey, Dumplings Gammy. I stopped following the case because of social media. I could never find facts. And yeah, so that's why I think it'd be so interesting to do this without social media at all, you know. And the parents have done interviews with the local news a few times. There's some other things that in the future we're going to go through as far as other briefings that were done on the anniversary of her being missing, the parents speaking with the local news on the anniversaries and those kind of things. Hey, Will. So that's what we're going to do. Start from the beginning. No social media. Also, anything you learned about this before, please just leave it out. I don't want to. I really want to do things differently this time. Like I said, I regret my coverage of it in the beginning. I think that I even let some of the things I was seeing on social media change my opinion. And this is the truth, whether we like it or not. The parents have never been charged. So just remember that. And yeah, we're going to start from the beginning. I checked the TBI Summer Wells updates page sometimes. Can't believe they never did find that red Tacoma. Now, that's so interesting to me, too, because when I went there in person, there were people that lived very close to the wells with very similar trucks who had never even known that they were looking for a red Tacoma. Hey, Laura Bean. Okay, so the first thing that happened that I can find going back was this press conference on June the 16th. Matter of fact, it's funny that you came by, Will, because that is how I heard of this case. He sent me a message and said, have you seen this little girl that's missing? Are you going to cover it? And we started talking a little bit about it then. But so this is the first thing I've found. We're going to watch this press conference, and then we will get into those couple things that happened in the days following that press conference. Those are Dawn's first interviews with the local news, and then another press conference after that took place on June 24th of 2021. Okay, so let me pull this up.
Breaking news now, officials are holding a media briefing about the Amber Alert we just told you about for the missing 5-year-old. Her name is Summer Wells. Let's go on now to live coverage with the TBI.
A lot of investigation by 19 different agencies. Last night, we had approximately 60 to 80 people searching in the woods, with a number of law enforcement officers doing the investigation also. Today, we've had over 100 people in the woods searching throughout the whole region. We also have agents with the TBI and the FBI assisting my office. We jointly investigating this whole circumstance.
Okay, so I want to pause right here and just say, people have their thoughts on Ronnie Lawson. I think that we have to kind of leave that out of our minds here too. And let's think about what he even just said at the beginning. 19 different agencies helping with this search, FBI and TBI in on this investigation. So many people have a theory, which, like I said, I don't want to get into social media stuff. However, I think that it's not just the local police working on this. We know that TBI, FBI, many people involved. It's kind of disturbing how Ellie never questioned the owners of those trucks if you just happened by them. Oh, I did, because I saw one in a lady in her driveway. And I was like driving past, and I said, excuse me, can I speak to you for a minute? Have you heard of this case? No, she didn't even know that about Summer at all. I love a creator willing to say they may have been wrong previously and have rethought their opinions. Neat Noodle, this one bothers me because, yeah, I just don't know that I gave it a very fair and open approach. And just thinking about how I would do things now, I would do many things differently. I'm pretty sure I have footage of that, Will. I'm almost certain of it. Hey, Mr. Tomato Head. Nope, we're just getting started. Okay, let's keep going. I don't want to talk too much.
Main goal is to find Summer and find her safe. We have plenty of help. We don't need any assistance from the local people. We have the professional people out searching, and we just appreciate everybody, their contributions. It's been a tremendous outpour from the community with the water, the food, and the snacks. It's just overwhelming, and it's a very intense investigation. I know the public needs to know things, but it's ongoing, and we will release things as we can when we can. And our main goal right now is to find Summer.
We'll take a couple of questions.
Remember, we're one day in.
Can't discuss specifics of the investigation. Can you talk about the area back here?
Absolutely. It's very dense. The terrain is tremendously hard. We have virtually no cell phone service. The radio system we use, which it's not that good. We have very little radio communication. We do have several command posts setting up, but what makes it so hard is the communication between the boots on the ground, searching the woods, and the different agencies and officers, and it's very hard to communicate. And you know, we're not like, you know, we're in these small towns or in towns where you got a lot of cell service, and just for instance, when we get texts from the media, you may text and we may get it an hour later, and we have no way to reply.
I'm going to tell you guys about that.
Same way with
in a
officers, and the ECOM Central Dispatch has done an excellent job. TBI has their command post. It should arrive soon, and we're going to continue on until we find Summer and put this case to rest.
Okay, so I don't want to interrupt the answers to the questions, but I do want to say, when I was there is not very good signal at all. Several minutes from their house, as soon as you turn onto Beach Creek Road, my brain, it's been such a long time. You know, within a few minutes, you lose signal. There is not good service there. And also, when you're talking about a little child like Summer in an area like this, I grew up in southern West Virginia. I know all about the woods, the mountains. I loved it. I lived in it as a kid. But I can tell you it is thick, thick brush in the summer like this, June. Everything's blooming, and it's just mountains and creeks, and it's going to be a really tough area to search. Will said, I think we all have room for some regret as far as how we as creators have approached this case. We aren't perfect, but I can say I've learned a lot from this case alone. So have I. I agree with you. But you know what? I truly believe that we have done more damage to this case than anything. That's just where I'm at right now. Because you guys know, I mean, I don't have to tell you what it's turned into. Hell, it's been 2 weeks of all this stuff with people that were just part of the day that happened that day, and the scams and the money and all that stuff. That's why I wanted to do this just from the beginning. Just from the beginning with no social media, you know, so it is beautiful. Hey, Brody Gal. So at this time, how long have they been looking for her? Almost 3 years. So 2.5 years and 1 more month, 2 days ago. Hey, Megan, you haven't missed much. We just came in. We're on the June 16th, 2021, what law enforcement said about the investigation at that point.
Do you believe there was foul play involved? And is there any history with this family?
The family are cooperating, and it's really too early to tell.
Whoa, hold on. Let me just rewind that a little bit. I want you to hear. She asked, do you believe there is foul play involved, and about the family? Is there any history of that in the family? And his first words are, they are cooperating. So let's just listen.
Yes.
Do you believe there was foul play involved? And is there any history with this family?
The family are cooperating, and it's really too early to tell. We're still just basically just gathering information, and we're in the search mode right now.
Amber switched from missing child alert to an Amber alert. What goes into the decision of putting that alert out? Like a difference?
Sure. After the initial search, and as we developed more information as part of the investigation, our team made the decision to elevate the alert to an Amber.
And what's the difference?
An endangered child alert is a mid-level alert where a child could potentially be in danger. An Amber alert is, we issue those when we believe a child is in imminent danger of bodily harm or death, and it's the most severe alert.
Since it appeared to be that she walked away from the home, why was it upgraded to an Amber alert? Clarify that a little bit more.
Well, the bottom line is we don't know where she is at this time. Again, there was the initial search. We acted, and the sheriff's office acted on the information available at the time. And as we learned her in the first several hours into today, led us to an Amber alert.
When the Amber alert was issued, you said there was new information that led you to believe that Summer might be in more danger. Can you expand on that a little bit?
I can't. That's part of the investigation.
So he says she's talking about why it became an Amber Alert. And that is so interesting looking back now. There was new information available. I wish we could hear the 911 call too. And you guys are free to make speculations or, but whatever kind of opinions you have, but let's just do it on what we're seeing here. And like I said, again, forget all that we've heard, because it is kind of hard to do that, to separate the two. Let's see. I haven't seen Dawn or Candace's interview in so long. So we are going to refresh on some of that. Nothing from YouTube, but the ones that they did with the local news whenever we get there. And look, at this point, they say they're cooperating. And Ronnie Lawson makes a variety of statements over the years that hopefully we will get to in the sequence that they happen. That's kind of my goal.
Sheriff Lawson mentioned earlier that he's asking the community folks that if you have enough resources here, how much your message to the community that they feel like they want to help in some regard. How can they help in this time?
If they see something or know something, they need to tell somebody. That's the biggest thing. A lot of people don't want to get involved. They won't reply to us or respond anonymously. That's fine, as long as we find Summer. That's the main thing right now. And we're talking about the Amber Alert. When they raise that up another level, that helps more people paying more attention. You get more clues, you get more calls, and then everybody can call that 1-800-TBI find, and it all goes into a database, which helps us in an area where we don't have a lot of communication.
From new information they can't get into. I just don't know why that sounds different to me this time.
Anyway, so TBI helps us with that.
The FBI was called in fairly early. Can you kind of explain why that decision was made?
Well, we have an excellent relationship working together.
So what she said was, perfect time for your question, Lil Red. The person asking questions said, we know the FBI was brought in pretty early. Is there a reason why? So the FBI was there.
And just
Called in fairly early.
Database, which helps us in an area where we don't have a lot of communication anyway. So TBI helps us with that.
The FBI was called in fairly early. Can you kind of explain why that decision was made?
Well, we have an excellent relationship working together. And just like if this case stems outside of Hawkins County, then you have the TBI to help with that. But if it expands on out past the state of Tennessee, then you got the FBI. So we're all on the same page, and we just keep on going. We're just working together as a team. All have the same goal. Let's find Summer.
So the woman with the blonde hair that was actually speaking, she was with TBI, and then we know that FBI, and then he is the sheriff. So that's a big deal to me, because we don't just have this small town police force looking into not only where Summer could be, but all the people around her.
Expand on maybe just the area where you guys are searching. Maybe if people see something in a certain area, they should be on heightened alert if they're in a certain area or part of town.
Sure. Expand on the area.
Well, the train and stuff, just like you see here, this is what people are searching in. But if they seen something yesterday evening or afternoon that we need to know, that's when they need to make the call or come by the command post.
Any kind of landmarks and sort of an area that you're searching
Just
specifically, or just everywhere?
around Ben Hill Road in that area. That's the main, because she's 5 years old and she left the house, and evidently she got a little farther than they expected.
Do you have any idea how much territory your volunteers or searchers are covering?
A lot. We have so many out there that they've broadened the scope. Plus, we've been able to utilize aircraft. THP's been wonderful with their helicopter and the medical helicopters with THP's FLIR at night. They've been flying today, and it's just.
Thank you, MK. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So I think what he's talking about there is like the thermal, right, where they can fly over at night, and if there's any body heat picked up or whatever, that it would show on their machine that they have. I don't know. I mean, I don't have no knowledge of that kind of stuff, but I do know that they have some kind of little tool that does that. Evidently, she got a little further than they expected. I noticed that as well. Let's keep listening.
And how the communities come to help us, plus all the different resource agencies and the rescue squads and EMS and all the law enforcement. And we just hope that we have a great result when we find Summer.
Have you gotten any leads?
At this time, we're following up on any and all leads. Again, thank you for being here. We encourage the public to call in any credible information to 1-800-TBI-FIND, and we continue to hold out hope for the best possible outcome. Thank you.
All right, you just heard live from the TBI.
God, this is just like really kind of almost painful to even see again and hear again like this, because the reality of it is we are almost 3 years down the road and she has still not been found. And that is just devastating. But okay, so the next thing that we're going to look at, this is Summer's dad. And on June the 18th, so that press conference we just watched took place on the 16th. She went missing on the 15th. Now, this little interview clip was taken from 2 days later from the press conference, the 18th. So I tried to kind of organize everything in order of how we're going to watch it. But see, there are so many. I mean, we have here Dawn at the 2-year anniversary. We'll get to that at the end of this. We have David Dotson doing an interview with WJHL. Dad doing an interview. Summer's mom's very first TV interview, which I think we're going to get to that today. And let me grab this just to see, because I don't think I found this one. Open a new tab. Okay, so let's just hear Dawn. We'll just play it straight through. I won't interrupt.
So when her mother come in, she says,
There's
well,
a longer version of this, but we'll just.
so when her mother come in, she says, where's Summer? She went down in the basement. She didn't answer, so she went down there and she was gone. So she went out the basement door, which was unlocked, and we haven't seen her since.
This morning, Donald Wells spoke on camera for the first time since his daughter disappeared.
Please let Summer be okay. And please come home.
He says it's unlikely Summer would leave the house on her own. Wells says the last time anyone in the family saw Summer was when she entered the house to play in the basement after gardening with her mother and grandmother. Wells also spoke about his gut feeling about Summer's whereabouts.
Some bad person grabbed her, but we have no idea.
Wells says law enforcement have covered leads on area sex offenders and drug addicts.
We're trying to think, beat our brains out. We've covered everything that we can think of already.
Investigators say they have followed up on 85 tips so far. Wells says he is overwhelmed by the massive numbers of personnel on site.
We just really appreciate everybody trying to help that they have, law enforcement and all these volunteers that are here. I've never seen anything like this in my entire life.
That was John Janko reporting those sentiments shared by Hawkins County
Okay, so
Sheriff.
just let me put a couple things into perspective here for this live and the following live I'm going to do on Real Talk with my friend Foxy. One of Summer's brothers is in this interview with her dad. Everything that is out on YouTube, they will one day see, including comments and everything else. So I just want to try to keep that in mind. And that was something that was kind of really brought to my attention recently with this latest bit of information a psychic had put out. But just remember that. Amber, I think that might be in the interview we're about to watch. I'll never get over Don saying he will see her at the resurrection when she wasn't missing a month yet. Also, remember, these people are not used to being on camera like this. You know what I mean? They're just not. We'll go back to just the beginning for just a second. And then I found, so we were going to go to a press conference from June 24th, but I actually just found one from June 21st that was in between the two, and that's where we're going to go next. But let me just.
So when her mother come in, she says, where's Summer? She went down in the basement. She didn't answer, so she went down there and she was gone. So she went out the basement door, which was unlocked, and we haven't seen her since.
This morning, Donald Wells spoke on camera for the first time.
So that's what he said, okay? That happened. So now we're going to go to this tab. This is June the 21st. We are 6 days in to Summer being missing. And we'll listen to this one now. Now, if you look over here, I mean, bringing back the memories, this is a 1-year press conference, and we'll see that in probably the second episode of this little series. This interview where her grandmother speaks out for the first time, Robin from the Sunday school and stuff, and her describing the night that Summer went missing. And we may get into some of that more later, but let's go ahead and hear this now.
County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson, followed by Captain Tim Coop with the Churchill Rescue Squad. Summer is still missing, and we are more concerned than ever and desperate to find her. TBI agents continue to work with the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office and the FBI in an effort to determine what happened to Summer. We are utilizing all available resources, to include the FBI's Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team. We want to reiterate that the circumstances leading to Summer's disappearance remain unclear, which is why we've been exploring all possibilities. Agents and detectives have followed up on a number of leads, to include residential surveillance video and photos from around the area of Summer's home. Drivers seen in the area at the time of her disappearance have been identified and interviewed. While we've not ruled out an abduction, we simply do not have any evidence at this point to confirm that's what occurred.
So they have not ruled out an abduction. They just simply do not have evidence that that occurred. I think that we have to know that these briefings are done in a very particular way. Every word that they choose, probably especially when you're working with, like when you're looking at these bigger agencies, not necessarily with local sheriffs, but even with them potentially, but especially when you're listening to TBI, FBI, they've chosen these words very carefully. Hey, Anna. Okay.
For that reason, the ground search for Summer continues. It's possible that she wandered off and is lost and afraid. Sheriff Ronnie Lawson is going to talk more about what we need from property owners at this point. Sheriff?
Thank you. First of all, I want to let everyone know that what a big asset that Mount Carmel Baptist Church has been to us. They've opened their doors, their church, their fellowship hall, their land. As y'all see, this is a very remote area, and we would be in desperate trouble if we didn't have that place to set up our command post. With that said, we use every available resource that we have, and today I want to use you all. I want the word to get out to all the residents in the Upper Beech Creek community, Hawkins County and Sullivan County. We need the residents to go back today, tonight, tomorrow, as soon as possible, and go back and check their entire property, any outbuildings, any barns, any place a child could hide. We desperately need you to do that for us. It's easier for you to check your own property than it is to send officers there. We have not stopped. As the captain will tell you, we've been 24/7 for 6 days now. So we desperately need help from the community now searching their own property. Any questions?
God Almighty.
Okay, Captain.
So 6 days in at this point.
Thank you, Sheriff. As both of them have stated, we will continue to search for Summer Wells until we locate Summer Wells. As of June 21st, 2021, search and rescue efforts for missing 5-year-old Summer Wells will continue throughout the day and also the night. At this point, we have utilized 72 agencies from Tennessee, Ohio, Virginia, Alabama, Georgia, and North Carolina.
Wow. That is incredible, the amount of force that came together for this. And I don't even remember watching this guy in the press conference, like do a press conference. Hey, Vicki, I'm so glad that we're doing this, and kind of going back. Hey, Jordan, didn't Leslie used to be a reporter for the local news station there? I actually don't know about that. Tennessee Southern Hell. You mean TBI Leslie? Okay.
Assisting in these search efforts. Numerous specialized search and rescue groups and canine teams have been represented from these multiple different agencies. To date, we have estimated approximately 2,400 acres have been searched since Tuesday night when she was reported missing. The rugged mountainous terrain continues to cause problems and slow the search operations at times. The search will continue Tuesday morning into Wednesday morning. An updated release will be issued as new information becomes available. And as stated before, if anyone has any information on the disappearance of Summer Wells, please contact Hawkins County Sheriff's Department and our 1-800
So 2,400 acres they had searched 6 days in. And if I look on Google, that is the equivalent. An acre of land is about the size of a football field. So 2,400 football fields. And this is not, flat like a football field with no trees and no bushes and all that kind of stuff. It's a pretty rough terrain.
EBA fine. Thank you.
We'll open it up for a few questions at this time.
Just wondering, has Summer ever wandered off before?
According to family members, it's not common for her to wander off.
Which Saturday there was a pretty extensive search into the evening. Can you elaborate on what that tip was and why there was such a large presence for crews to come back out?
Anytime we have information that could potentially lead us to locating Summer, we're going to use all resources. Crews were in the area following up on a lead. Unfortunately, Summer's still missing.
How is the changing weather impacting your search?
Sure, that's a great question. Captain Coop, can you explain?
So the projected forecast here for the next 24 to 48 hours will change our approach. It will not change our aggressive approach. The only thing that this will change, it will change maybe what terrain we approach at this time. Due to the severe thunderstorms, we can't put our teams in danger to turn around and maximize the situation. We are monitoring weather 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with live weather updates. We are also utilizing the National Weather Service, who calls us on a routine basis.
It's hot at this time of year in Tennessee, and as far as other people missing in the area, there are other kids and stuff that had went missing before. There's a lot of conspiracies about some of that. I won't get into that. However, there are a couple people that have went missing recently from there, but they're not children. They're older, young women. EquiSearch has been there twice. Their interview was good. Oh my gosh. We'll go back through some of that too. I remember them going there because we did a donation to them or something from the channel at a certain point in time because of this case. So I'm glad that you brought that up. I just want to know what happened to her too. Okay.
If there's any type of weather that is approaching our immediate area, they have been more than helpful with notifying us in a very timely manner to allow us to know till we can plan on how we're going to approach these areas.
Talking about the weather, is there concern about some of these crews from other areas having to go back to their area to respond to storms there?
Speaking with some of these teams, especially the teams that have been coming out of state, traveling 4+ hours, they also have had to do what we've had to do is utilize as much resources as we can to find Summer Wells, but we still have to be able to cover our areas. So a lot of these people, they're still allowing people to stay back. When these crews from out of town then return, they'll swap out. Those crews will then monitor their areas and send us fresh crews, and we are doing the same thing for our resources here locally.
Do we know when the active search will potentially turn into a recovery mode instead of a potential rescue mode?
I just want to say, I think this is pretty far from Nashville. You local people can tell me better, but I know like where I used to live in West Virginia, it took me about 3 hours, 2 hours and 45 minutes to get to them, and maybe like 6 or 7 to get to Nashville because my brothers lived there. So I'm closer to 7, I think, but yeah, so it's pretty far.
Let's elaborate on that.
We will address that at some point, but right now our focus remains on finding Summer. We're using all resources as of today, and we want that to be the focus right now.
This is a question more for maybe Leslie and Sheriff Lawson. You just mentioned that you have used some surveillance video, things that you had asked for earlier in the week. Can you elaborate what you saw in that surveillance video and how that might have helped you?
Well, as you know, and you guys helped us get the word out, we asked residents to let us know if they had surveillance cameras around their home or trail cameras. Residents have reached out. We've reviewed those photos and video. And if we identified a vehicle in the video, we would identify the driver and then speak with the driver.
So there are cameras right by the end of their, like right by their house. There is a pretty decent farm that's like right by there that is under a lot of surveillance. And just from like driving through and looking, I saw a lot of cameras. I saw cameras everywhere where they were out that day near the horse pond and stuff. There's stoplight cameras, you know, there's just cameras everywhere in Kingsport, but there are also cameras, you know, closer to the home, one being a farm that's like right next to the house. Thank you, Lou. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. Tennessee is beautiful.
To interview them to see if they had any information.
How long, when someone typically goes missing, how long does it take to find? Like, is this exceptionally long?
Every case is different. It's a case by case situation.
On day 6 now, for maybe the folks that are out there in the field, how are you keeping, I guess, morale and spirits high? How are, you know, I'm sure folks are tired. They've been out here tirelessly for days on end now. How are you kind of keeping folks engaged and spirits up?
Ultimately, the people that's involved with the search operations, we all have the same outlook. We will not quit until we find Summer Wells. So these guys have spent countless hours, day in, day out, nighttime. The thing that I stress with my guys is if you're getting to the point that you're getting tired, please take a break, get rest, rehab, recover. That way you can come back and continue to go stronger. It is a large family with law enforcement involved. We keep each other's spirits up. It's all a team effort. And to elaborate on it, a lot of times you guys being up here, you start seeing a lot of people leave at the evening time. At the evening time, it is too treacherous and too dangerous unless TBI or Sheriff's Department gets a lead that they need us to go help assist on. Too dangerous for us to keep our guys up in these mountains and this treacherous terrain at nighttime. But I want you guys to know and rest assured, along with the community, that search efforts do not stop when it gets dark. We have been utilizing fixed wing and aerial aviation to literally scan this area from the time it gets dark to the time that we return in the morning. It does not quit. They utilize multiple resources, FLIR, and other things to continually map this area and to continue the search.
I would have to look a little closer into some of that, but I would say that some of that must be based off of body temperature and stuff like that. Crime Sleuthin says if she wasn't on cams, she was in a vehicle, I would think. But here's the thing. So she could have walked, based on me being there, she could have walked off of the property and avoided these cameras. However, I don't think that a vehicle could have avoided the cameras because on both sides of their driveway houses, you know, down towards where you enter Beach Creek Road, well, I guess it goes all the way through, but on both sides, you know, there are cameras. And the farm, like I said, it's a cattle farm, if I'm not mistaken, and under a lot of surveillance. But how do we know they didn't see something, or they don't have, you know, they haven't told a lot of what they found in their investigation. So is it possible, not necessarily that they saw her, but I think that we would probably hear about that, but that they saw a suspicious vehicle that's, you know, they have it written down somewhere, or I don't know. Hey, Michelle. Think about the cases that we've followed all the way through court, and even Letitia's after court, all the jail files, all the calls. The things that we thought that we knew versus what we learned at court versus what we learned after court in those files. I mean, there's so much more. So I think there is so much that we don't know. Hey, Danielle. Hey, Okie Crime News. Hey, Tracy. You guys coming in? Okay.
For Summer Wells.
This is a question more for Sheriff Hawkins, or Lawson, I'm sorry. I know we've talked a lot about there's two different operations going on, Find Summer as well as the investigation. Is there more on the investigation side that you can tell us into anything that you've talked with family members or anyone who last saw her since we last spoke on Friday?
We've interviewed so many people in the community on the road, and we're still jointly working with TBI and the FBI, and everything is really going real well. We cover each other's tracks, go back and re-interview, and like Captain said, and Leslie, we're not going to stop till we find Summer.
How is her family doing? I mean, this is going into day 7. Tomorrow will be day 7 since their child has gone missing and no leads and massive.
How's the family? She
How's the
said.
family holding up? Have you spoken with their parents? How are they doing?
We've spoken with her parents. I can't speak for them. They spoke with you. They're being cooperative. Of course, they're upset. So we continue to keep them updated and do whatever possible we can to find Summer. And we just ask everyone in the community, especially those of you who have any tidbit of information that you haven't shared, to please come forward. Her family asks that as well.
And last week you also talked a little bit about speculation and social media rumors. Has that continued to get worse over the weekend, and has that continued to maybe even cause hindrances?
Sure, it's always a battle. We ask residents with credible information to call 1-800-TBI-FIND and submit tips through that
Hold on.
avenue.
Now, this is important for us to take note of, I believe, because the whole purpose of this is because social media has done some major damage to this case. So they ask about social media, and let's just listen closely to what they say. But before we get there, I just wanted to show you a couple pictures of Summer that I have in my overlays from like last year or the year before. So here's little Summer as a baby. Look at them pretty eyes. And then here she is with her puppy. And then here is another one of her. Okay. Now, I want to hear this part again.
Cooperative, of course, they're upset. So we continue to keep them updated and do whatever possible we can to find Summer. And we just ask everyone in the community, especially those of you who have any tidbit of information that you haven't shared, to please come forward. Her family asks that as well.
And last week you also talked a little bit about speculation and social media rumors. Has that continued to get worse over the weekend, and has that continued to maybe even cause hindrances?
Sure, it's always a battle. We ask residents with credible information to call 1-800-TBI-FIND and submit tips through that avenue. We find that we're receiving a lot of tips that is a screenshot from Facebook. It's an opinion or speculation. That's not a credible tip. And it just bogs down the system, as I've mentioned before. So please only share.
It bogs down the system because everything they get, meaning every person watching a YouTube video who thinks, oh my God, do police know about this? And they contact police. Every person who sees on Facebook the latest rumor, every single rumor that is called in, they have to take the time to look into. And we have seen this from other cases where the police just say, please stop. Please do not call in with these social media tips because it's hurting us, because we have to fully look at these. Alex says, my question is, are there any shoe tracks or her footprints leading away from the house? Well, we're going to have to go back through with this investigation and see what we hear straight from police. Because yes, there was said to be a footprint. But there are so many rumors and stuff. I just don't know that I ever saw that there was factual proof of that. But many people say yes, that I don't know if you'd call them neighbors, that people that live not too far saw a footprint. Also, we're not going to forget about the neighbor who claimed she heard a scream and all of that. I need to go find the date for that interview while we finish listening to Leslie here.
Your credible information. Someone's opinion or idea on Facebook is not a credible tip. Did you have a question?
I was going to ask.
Okay.
Has the family been ruled out? I know they said that they understood you investigating them and interviewing them. Have they been ruled out at this time? Or still?
As we've said time and time again, the circumstances leading to Summer's disappearance are very much under investigation. And at this time, we continue to explore all possibilities. Okay, thanks for coming, guys. We appreciate the continuing coverage. We appreciate the community and all their support. And again, I can't stress enough, anyone with information is asked to call 1-800-TBI-FIND. Thank you.
Okay, so let me look again at the date of this. So June 21st. The neighbor interview didn't come out till November of 2021, so we may not get there today, but I'm going to try to get us through like these things in order so that, yeah. So the next date on our little thing is June 24th, and I do believe this is another briefing. Did I play that one? I think I played that out of order by accident. Let me check something. Just quickly. No, here it is. Here's the 24th. I think we may have missed one press conference that happened at the very beginning, but I don't know that to be true. So we're just going to go with what we have that I know to be factual. Okay, so this is June the 24th.
It's now been 1 week and 2 days since she went missing. There's still two aspects of this case: the active search and the investigation. You'll hear more about the search in just a minute. TBI agents and Hawkins County detectives working alongside the FBI continue to work around the clock to determine what happened to Summer Wells. In order to preserve the integrity of the investigation, we can't discuss everything we're doing and have done to find Summer. Here's what we can tell you. Numerous residents and individuals associated with the family have been interviewed. Surveillance video and photos have been reviewed, as well as other potential digital evidence. We're still working to identify everyone in the area on the afternoon that Summer went missing. Just the standard amount of time it takes for a case like this to be resolved. While every case is different, this one is definitely outside of the norm. In an investigation like this one, we have some idea of where the case headed and what might have happened within a few days. In this situation, despite doing everything within our power and exploring all avenues, the circumstances leading to Summer's disappearance remain unclear.
So that is so interesting. Typically by this point in investigation, they have an idea of, where the investigation is leading to. I am just baffled, and I hate to speculate, but when a case goes on like this, I think someone knows more than they are saying. It reminds me of Karen Horman. Well, the next video we're going to watch today, and probably what we're going to end with just for today, because it's our part one, is going to be the parents' first interview, which I think is a big catalyst for some of the speculation and stuff that happened. So I just want to be careful with that. However, you guys, I want you to give your opinion just however you feel first watching this interview. Yes, Michelle. So she vanished from home, June 15th of 2021.
I understand the lack of answers frustrates you in the public, but trust me, no one is more frustrated than we are. If we develop information that will lead to locating Summer, we will share that with you first and foremost. In the meantime, we ask anyone with information who hasn't come forward to please call 1-800-TBI-FIND. I'll turn it over to Sheriff Ronnie Lawson.
Thank you. Just to go along with Leslie, I know there's a lot of social media going on out there, a lot of detectives going on, but they're absolutely useless unless these people that's 100% positive calls 1-800-TBI-FIND.
Still, I mean, how unbelievable is it that 9 days in, a week and 2 days in, and this is the second time that social media being a problem has been noted in this official capacity. I just think it's crazy, because some of these cases of these missing kids, they never get seen by anybody. Some of these families would do anything for the local news to cover their missing loved one even once.
It's nothing. We're monitoring all social media and everything that you all put out from people that you all interview. And I assure you, you'd have to work very hard to find somebody that we hadn't talked to. They may not tell you.
They are monitoring social media and watching the interviews done on social media. Hey, Destin.
One point I want to make clear up, obviously, is a couple of days
Creative
ago,
minds.
I asked for the public not to help us in our search in the woods and stuff. That is because we know where every searcher is, where every team is, and the captain and his staff, they're tracking everyone. So if we get the general public in the woods, we don't know about it, and they're going to miss.
The public at this time, I remember the speculation surrounding that was they didn't like that, they didn't want the general public to come out there. I think though, because of the terrain and things like that, like they were having to bring in special equipment so they could radio each other because the service is so bad.
When they go home or don't go home. So it's going to be somebody else that we have to generate time and information and resources to find. What I did ask for, and I still need, is all the people in Upper Beech Creek, in Hawkins and Sullivan County to search their property again and again. You got to look for a small child. You have to look for evidence of a small child's been. And if you got field cameras, if you got security cameras, we need you to check those again. Just keep checking them and checking them. We're trying to find every vehicle is in this holler they're living since we started this. And we also did a roadblock, which helped at the same time that she was reported missing, to see if we come in contact with somebody that's been working that we could see. Obviously, there's nothing came out of that, but it's just another tool that we've used to make this happen. So if the general public.
Teacup says, now this is a very interesting opinion. She says, it sounds like social media is being used as a bit of a scapegoat by the sheriff. Maybe I'm wrong. Well, here's the thing. Social media was off the chain with this. It still is. I can hardly even find factual info to put together a series like this where like you have to just cut out all social media interviews, period, just to find true factual information on it, because there are, to this day, there are channels that cover this case every day. There are entire channels built off this. The neighbor has a channel she does every day that's pretty much built from this. The young man that was with Summer and her mother that day at the swimming hole, and we're going to get into some of that story later that hasn't really been put out at this point, you know, besides in official capacities. But the rumors, I mean, it was awful. It was bad. It's hard like I said, because there's so many videos. If you go do a search for her, I guarantee you'd be scrolling forever and ever and ever. Joey Girl says, your channel played into the rumors just as much of the next. I've only said that like 10 times. I mean, not fully. I always was very clear when it was a rumor or factual. But I've only said that like 10 times since we've been on this lab today, which is why I want to leave social media out. Social media is crazy on this. It's sickening. It is. Yep. And then we have the media manager. I don't want to call him social media manager. Yes, the same neighbor that says she heard the scream. She's she's live all the time. And many other ones too. Yeah, it's just crazy. That stream like every day.
We'll go back and search their outbuildings, their barns, their hay fields. Now it's mowing season, so when they mow, they need to pay attention. If you have a resident that cannot search their property themselves, if they'll call my office at 423-272-4848, I will send an officer to your residence to search your property for you.
Hey, Angie.
It's cooperation that we must need. I know some of the residents probably getting frustrated with seeing the officers, but as the captain will tell you, we've had very intense operations all week long for 9 days now. And we're not done yet, because like I told you from day one, it's about finding Summer. That's the number one goal here. Yep.
Thank you, Sheriff. As of June 24th, 2021, search and rescue efforts for missing 5-year-old Summer Wells continues. We have now utilized 106 agencies spanning from Tennessee, Ohio, Virginia, Alabama, Georgia, and North Carolina assisting in these search efforts. Numerous specialized search and rescue groups with numerous canine teams have been represented from each of these agencies. To date, we have covered over 4.6 square miles,
Wow.
with that being over 3,000 acres being searched since Tuesday night.
Now, let me just pause here and ask you guys, is it possible that she walked off that property and you have all those different different agencies, different states involved, all the acres that have been searched, over 3,000? Is it possible that they overlooked her? I mean, and if you see them doing the searches, they're like in a line, trying to make sure they don't miss anything. Is it possible she walked off and wasn't found? Because then when we get to the point, I believe it was the following March, they go back out, they do another search, an officer does an interview with the local news and said something along the lines of, and this is off by memory, so we'll clarify this to be factual in the next part of the series, that he believes that she would be close to the home still. So they were searching like around the home. 4.6 square miles is only a 1.1 mile search radius. Okay, now I'm getting confused because, yeah, that just confuses me. Last week, that 2-year-old boy Phoenix got 2.5 miles in 48 hours. Wow. There was a case, they found bones 10 years later, exactly where they searched before. So yes, Schmida says, I mean, look at the level of search they did looking for that swamp guy. I'm drawing a blank on his name and they missed him. Oh yes, you're right. Brian Laundrie. Geometry. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, let's keep listening.
When she was reported missing. The rugged mountainous terrain continues to cause problems. This has slowed search operations down in these areas, but please be rest assured, while incurring these conditions, we are still searching with an aggressive approach with extreme attention to detail. These terrains and conditions have exhausted crews both physically and mentally. We are still utilizing local and regional resources, but have had to call upon and utilize resources from Middle and West Tennessee, along with out-of-state resources, to bring a fresh set of eyes and rested bodies into the search operations. Search efforts will continue on a more specialized team basis throughout the rest of the week. Just because you may not see us in such a large presence, once again, rest assured, we are still out here searching for Summer Wells. We will continue to work with the Hawkins County Sheriff's Department, TBI, and FBI to find Summer Wells. As mentioned before, as Sheriff here mentioned, please continue to search your personal property. Sullivan County, Hawkins County, mainly the Beech Creek
I'll
community.
speed it up a little.
And even if you
I'm
branch
going
a
to
little bit
speed
further,
it up
please
because I
search.
want us to get
I've been
through
telling-
the parents' interview. That is like a big part of this first little bit of everything happening. So let's put this on 1.5 and just try to get through it, because I don't want to skip anything. I think it's important that we don't kind of going back like this. So
Only searchers here the last several days. When you're looking for this property, you're not looking for an adult laying there. You're not looking for an adult hiding in the building. We're looking for a 5-year-old girl that weighed approximately 40 pounds. Somebody that size could wad up, could hide in an area that a legal size piece of paper or a folded up laptop could go. This is also the reason why we're exhausting all efforts. This terrain, as you can see behind us, guys, is only a small, very small percentage of what these guys day in and day out are going through. I've had multiple of my guys come up to me and tell me, Captain, I'll go to the end, but I'm tired. I'm physically and I'm mentally tired. We are all one team, and we will not quit until we find Summer Wells. Thank you.
here we go. Question time.
Absolutely. Captain, can you answer that question?
Yeah, so over these 4.6 square miles, and I'm trying to elaborate on some of these specialized teams. There's some of these areas, guys, we've covered 4, 5, and 6 times.
Christine, I saw that this
Media
morning.
outlets reaching out going, well, we have neighbors saying you're covering the same ground. We are. New ground, same ground, different eyes, fresh bodies. Guys, one flat looking field, there's 100 places something to be hid, evidence, and or she could be hid. So yes, we have covered multiple ground multiple times.
Wow,
We'll
Mr.
continue to do so.
Tomato Head. Okay, that's pretty crazy.
The board has been talking about. I know your agency, Critical Rescue Squad, is currently in charge of that. Can you give us some details on what the board looks like right now?
Cannot hear the question.
Yes, so there has been some people that have reached out to our agency, reached out to TBI and Sheriff's Department about providing reward money for information leading up to the finding and or recovery of Summer Wells. At this time, I can confirm that is correct and that our agency is working to get this account set up. Once this information is available, our agency will provide a media release with this information on how the general public can also give money for this. But at the same point in time, guys, we're running on limited resources and we're trying everything we can do that without interfering with the search for Summer Wells.
Leslie, at this point in the search and investigation, do you believe Summer Wells is still alive?
We hope so, but honestly, we just don't know. I mean, we're holding out hope, doing everything we can. Obviously, we typically would have found a child at this stage in the investigation. So
Do they ask if they believe that Summer is alive? And you know, you hear her, but she says, we obviously just don't know. But typically by this stage in the investigation, we would have found the child.
honestly, we just don't know. I don't have the exact number with me, but it's well over 300 at this point.
I know we've also looked at the family and talked about sort of right up to that missing incident here. Can you just sort of elaborate on what you guys know for sure happened before she went missing on Tuesday night?
We can't release any more than what we've already provided. We know that she was supposedly with family members outside of her home, was seen going into the home. When her mother went to check on her, she was not in the house.
Sheriff, I know you mentioned before that you haven't tried to obtain any search warrants. Is that still the case?
My office has not obtained any search warrants, and I really don't know if the other agencies has. I've been coordinating with the captain here and the investigators. They're all working together, and we haven't briefed each other this afternoon.
What about light detectors?
I think she can address this.
Well, it's no secret that the TBI has a polygraph unit. We don't discuss specifics, but I can tell you that we use that as an investigative tool. In a situation like this, we're going to use every resource and tool available to us.
The billboard seen in Myrtle Beach. I guess where that has the search taken you guys even out of state.
We follow up on all leads that come in, even if they're out of state. We have received some tips from other states, but they didn't prove to be credible leads. We are aware of the billboards. That's not something the TBI coordinates, but we appreciate the effort.
Leslie, could the average dog be used for the K-19 being brought in?
Absolutely, yes.
No one wasn't outside of the house today. Any reason for that?
There's no reason. We have had agents and officers to just touch base with the family on a daily basis. So they were there earlier. The family continues to cooperate at this time. If we have questions, they answer our questions. If we need them to come to the command post to clarify some information, they respond. So they've been very cooperative.
Okay, so let's take a pause here and just take it in if we know nothing else. We do not know anything that's said on social media about the parents, about the families. But just from what we hear from law enforcement, she says the family has been cooperative. We've showed up multiple times a day sometimes to just make contact. They're there if we need them to come to the command center, which is where they're all kind of grouping up when they're doing these searches. They'll come there. If we have questions, they'll answer them. So it is interesting because at this point, you know, there's speculation all over the place against everybody. But if we just go by what police say, I'm curious what you guys think about that.
Leslie, could the average dog be used for the K-19 being brought in?
Absolutely, yes.
No one wasn't outside of the house today. Any reason for that?
There's no reason. We have had agents and officers to just touch base with the family on a daily basis. So they were there earlier. The family continues to cooperate at this time. If we have questions, they answer our questions. If we need them to come to the command post to clarify some information, they respond. So they've been very cooperative.
Speaking of the command post, we have noticed some larger FBI presence as well, including like the FBI Patrol Department team. Can you just elaborate a little bit on their role? What do they do?
They're just another resource available. Now, I would refer you to the FBI for specifics on what that team does, but they specialize in missing children cases. And again, we're using all resources available. They've been here since last weekend, and we were in communication with them.
So I can't hear who they ask about, but there's a specific team from the FBI that specializes in missing children cases that was there giving their input. I like to think the law enforcement would be following grandma leave town, but then I also think of Swamp Guy's mom being followed instead of him. Swamp Guy. Okay, we'll just try to see what this last question or two is, because this next video is where we're going to end today. And this, like I said, is their first interview together. We know that Dawn, by this point, I've found 2, and I'm not talking social media, 2 interviews with local news, one on camera with his son and one that was over the phone, which I didn't play today, but it took place on the 18th, I believe. And I'm going to drop that in the chat right now. So if you guys want to go back and watch that, you can.
For last weekend.
Or
so
listen.
It's just another resource, and we're grateful for the help we can get.
Hey, Kelly.
I feel like you have more information, better informed than you did on day 1 Tuesday night.
We don't we still don't know where Summer is. We don't know what happened to her, and it's extremely frustrating. I can't tell you how heartbreaking it is. The sheriff has worked around the clock. His team's worked around the clock. The search crews, TBI agents, FBI agents, we're doing everything we can to find her, but to not have any more answers than we do at this stage, it's just heartbreaking. Not any more than what we originally released. We know that her family reported her missing. They called the sheriff's office around 6:30. Prior to that, it was early afternoon when she was last seen, and they searched for a little bit and then reported her missing. I don't have that information.
Question for Captain or Sheriff. What's the
Okay, so this is the first I'm hearing about the time, and this has been a long thing over time that has been debated. But like she claims here, they called around 6:30. She went missing earlier in the afternoon. Yes, I can. Sorry, I should have done that, Shmita. Thank you. Let me rewind that and just get this last question before we move on, because this is about the time that she went missing.
It's just heartbreaking. Not any more than what we originally released. We know that her family reported her missing. They called the sheriff's office around 6:30. Prior to that, it was early afternoon when she was last seen, and they searched for a little bit and then reported her missing. I don't have that information.
question for Captain or Sheriff? What's the biggest obstacle standing in your way? Is it the heat? Is it just fatigue? Is it the rain? What do you think is the number one thing?
Then I cover up the closed captioning with the comment.
To say hurt this investigation on my aspect of things, nothing's hurting us. We encountered difficult situations so far, and we overcome them.
What's the biggest obstacle, they ask? Okay, so now let me just show you. This is the interview I was referencing from Michelle Walks actually posted it, from Jeff Bobo, interview with Don Wells. This is Times New interview with Don on June the 18th. So I'm going to drop that in the chat right now. And then we're going to go to this first interview with the parents. And let's see what you guys think. Let's see.
I know she didn't walk away from this property by herself or off this yard a lot. I know she didn't.
Let's get this closed captioning moved a little bit so you guys can see it. Okay.
Walk away from this property by herself or off this yard by her swing. I feel in my heart that somebody has came up here and took her, has lured her away from here. Me and my mother and her were planting flowers. And we went in after we got done washing our hands, and she got a piece of candy from Grandma, and she wanted to go back over and see her brothers. And I said, okay. And I walked her all the way over to the porch. And I watched her walk into the kitchen where the boys were watching TV. And I told the boys, I said, watch Summer. I'll be back. And within 2 minutes, I came back. And I asked the boys where their sister was. And they said, she went downstairs, Mom, to play with her toys in the playroom. I said, okay. And I yelled downstairs for her a couple times. And I didn't get no answer, which was unusual because usually she always answers me. And so I went down there to check, and she was nowhere in sight. She was just gone.
Okay, so I will speed it up in a second, but just because of, I just want to leave it like at the normal speed for just a moment. A lot of people had, and I'm just going to be straight up honest, a lot of people had a lot of thoughts about her being under the influence or very calm, not very upset or something like that. And I think that that's probably very normal for a mom when, see, Kathy, first impressions, she seems under the influence. And I think that was a lot of people's first impression. However, I think that, when I know moms who have lost children, their doctors will prescribe them Xanax or something like that. So I think that, it's possible that could be part of it. K-Brace says shock. I wanted to read this. Mr. Tomato Head says speculation. Candace wasn't home when she went missing and even told law enforcement that. I've wondered that myself as well. Okay, let's keep listening. And I will, Thistle said, I think she's on the spectrum, and that's very possible too. Tracy says she's a known drug addict. And then Melissa, did I say hi to you? Because if not, hello. Okay.
I don't go on walks around here or runs because I'm scared of the bears and snakes and even the coyotes.
And just want to be clear as well that that is just, you know, what I was reading were comments and opinions from the chat. For me, I always have said this. I feel like if my kids go missing, like you probably are going to see me under the influence, because that would be the one thing that I would have a relapse over. So for what it's worth, which is not a lot, just my opinion, but still.
Around here. Well, whoever has my daughter, I pray and hope that they have not harmed her and they bring her back to us safe and sound.
Just go to the FBI, the police, and clear it up. I mean, I don't know. It seems kind of elusive.
It's really strange that I've never seen this truck and I've never heard of it until just recently. But I wish they would come forward and explain themselves. And if you're not a suspect, at least come forward and say what you've seen. She was a tomboy. I shaved my head. She wanted to have her head shaved like me and the boys did.
She tried to shave her head
She tried
in
to
the
shave her
back
head
and make
herself.
it. I think you can see it in some of the pictures, and it was getting out of control. So we decided to shave her head off and let it grow back long, and she shaved her head so she wouldn't feel bad. And
Okay, now I have to be honest with you guys. I'm trying to be very fair and open-minded with this, but this is just the truth of how I saw things, and I still kind of they seem to be telling two different stories. They could both be true, but Candace kind of says at one point she wanted to be like me and the boys and shave her head, and then Dawn goes right behind her and says Candace shaved her head so she wouldn't feel bad. So that always kind of that confused me, but let's keep listening. Actually, let me just bring it back to that, and then, okay.
Like me and the boys did.
she tried to shave her head
She tried
in
to
the
shave her
back
head
and make
herself.
it. I think you can see it in some of the pictures, and it was getting out of control. So we decided to shave her head off and let it grow back long, and she shaved her head so she wouldn't feel bad, and but it didn't bother her at this point. Well, I knew right away that she was abducted. I knew that right away, and that's what I told them from the beginning. But they have to go through their, I forget the word.
Investigation.
They have to do one step at a time, I guess. But I'm sorry that they had to spend so many man hours.
That could be it, Mr. Tomato Head. A lot of people have wondered if she had lice. I still remember I told you guys when Will had messaged me about the case, like that was one of my first thoughts was the head being shaved. I'm pretty sure that we had like a back and forth about that and about lice or other reasons why that could potentially happen. Would that be a reason to kind of have conflicting stories? Possibly.
And everything. I've seen them limping and everything else, and I feel for them. But I just wish there was a way that neighbors could search neighbors' houses, and then if they're not willing, get a search warrant or something. But there's just no way you can search every
boys
single
were not
house,
shaved at this time.
in the eastern United States or whatever. But I wish there was a way. Just thankful for the person or persons that's doing that, out of love, and trying to get information and trying to get her found. And we thank them from the bottom of our hearts.
That means a lot.
And we thank everybody who's trying so hard and praying so hard. And she's an awesome young lady, and we just want her back. But, there's always going to be haters, and it's always going to be that way in this world. And we just want to focus on the good friends and Christian people that are trying to help us and praying for us and praying for Summer. And we thank them from the bottom of our hearts. And that's the kind of people we try to relate with and socialize with. So we don't know anything about, no red truck, or we hardly know many of our neighbors. I mean, because we just try to be around good people. I mean, and we do have good people in this area. We found out since
Understand
this has all happened.
Potential
that
theory.
we got
I
some real good
remember Candace
neighbors
showing
and
those.
good folks everywhere. But
The most important thing is to bring Summer home safe. I'm sorry that you feel this way about us, but
Hold on.
we love
So
our
I guess the
children.
news, because this comes straight from the local news, I think that they must have not put their questions in there. I want to rewind just a second.
The most important thing is to bring Summer home safe. I'm sorry that you feel this way about us, but we love our children with everything we have. We've never went without, thanks to Summer's daddy and my husband. He's always provided for us and has worked as much as he could and can and still is. And I'm sorry that you guys feel that way, but that's my baby, and nobody would ever treat her like that as long as I was around.
I loved Polly Pockets.
she loves to dance. She would always want me. She says, "Daddy, hold my hand so I can twirl." And she would just like to twirl and twirl and twirl until my arm got tired, you know. But and you know, I put out there that one of Summer's favorite songs was Godzilla, and they say, you know, and they're jumping all over me about past tense was.
Let me just take a second to make a point. Social media would not have been able to exploit this case in the way that it has if Summer did not touch the hearts of so many people. So, you know, I think that that is just something to note, that a lot of people just fell in love with her. And that is why social media was able to make like such a, you know, a big deal out of this case, because there are so many people who care, who want to know what happened, who are very invested. So
I'm sorry about that. It's just,
She also liked the song by New Breed. It was called House, My House. She sang
welcome
that a lot of
to
times when
my
I played it on the
house.
TV.
Thanks.
She loved to dance.
she liked to think of herself as a princess,
There
and
you are, Alex.
you know, and all that, like all young girls do. And
She loved Frozen. She loved to be that Elsa, and
Yeah, Tess, it was.
and I think she really loved to be in church because she felt a lot of love there. And I think you can't explain what that love is, but you feel it and you know it, you know, when you're young. And she felt that there, and she loved everybody in that church, or she loves everybody in that church. I should rephrase that, because they'll tear that apart as past tense, and I apologize.
So
again
see,
for
he's
that.
very aware that social media is already calling out the past tense, the way that he's phrasing things in past tense. The behavioral panel said by this point, now remember, what did I say, June 29th? So this is 2 weeks into her being missing. And they said that by this point, that would be normal to a degree to refer to her in past tense, because she hasn't been with them for a couple weeks, which probably feels like even longer than that, you know, so. That's what I'm saying, Kathy. That's why I wanted to redo this and cover it being much more fair to the parents, because look, we're 2.5 years in, and I've pointed out along the way many things that stood out to me as well. I've done videos on red flags with everybody, not just the parents. And I don't think that was necessarily fair of me. I did deep dive investigations into multiple people in the case. And just the facts are, we're over 2.5 years in. There has not been an arrest. The FBI is involved, not just TBI, and we've seen what they do with phones and stuff like that. So I think that's something to keep in mind. I'm glad you made the point, Kathy. Hey, Hope. My kids loved church when they were little. Now I have 3 Wiccan daughters. Okay.
I hope she gets to come home, you know, and I hope she gets to be with her church family again.
our best friend in that church was Robin. She loved her to death.
Robin,
she looked
remember?
up to women that were.
She come to that
We
church,
will hear from her
she
later
went
with the
looking for
local
Robin.
news.
That was her favorite person.
Any woman that was professional, that
Was pretty,
she
beautiful.
looked up to those kind of women. She, you know, they were the word I'm looking for, I can't think of it, but she looked up to them. she'd give them a run for their money every day. She'd give them a run for their money. And there was times, you know, we'd be, you know, that our boys like, don't do this, don't do that. And next thing you know, a stick would come up and just whop them, you know, and be like, Summer, don't do that. You
Summer
know?
was the boss of the family.
She's
She,
typical girl.
when they get out of line, she'd put them in line.
She'd do her best.
She loved to play in the mud and the water and swing on her swing and enjoy dirt.
When I run the lawnmower around, she would run behind me. When the boys run their bikes around, she, as fast as that little bike could go, she would be behind them running and keeping up with them, no problem. You know, she loved to run. She just loved to run, and she could pull herself up on that swing, her full body weight with her two hands, and she could do that. None of the other boys can do that, but she can.
Was she in school yet?
No, she's going this year.
This was supposed to be her first year.
She's been. We did all the what?
I took care of everything.
Yeah.
I had her already taken all of her shots and registered in the school ready for this year.
Now, this is a big deal. This is something that they could double check for certain, you know, police, if she was lying about that, about already having her registered for school. Okay, now let me just finish this out, and then I want to talk to you briefly before we go.
I just never expected for anyone to get a hold of my heart like she has.
Whatever you guys
try to
want.
guard my heart as much as I
Thank you,
can, but
Foxy.
she holds my heart in her
Just-
little hands. I love her with all my heart. I'd do anything to have her back. If there's any way, if you can find it in your heart to please release her somehow. I don't know how you might do that. I mean, 'cause you're probably scared of going to prison for the rest of your life and everything else, I'm sure. But please find it in your heart, have mercy, and find a way of letting her go, and where we can get her back. And just please have mercy on her, and you know, and us, and her brothers. And she's such a loving, good spirit. Please don't hurt her. Please let her come home. But my biggest fear is, you know, her being tormented or locked in a dungeon or basement or something, because she loved to be outside all the time. That was her, unfortunately, her, you know, her downfall. Because a lot of times the boys would be inside and we'd be like, "Where's Summer? Why'd you leave her out there alone? You know, go get Summer now." You know, and that's happened over and over again. And we'd come out and she would always be close by, but we was always coming up. She had to be outside. She was an outdoor person. And
She loved to be outside.
Yep. And I'm so afraid that she's locked away. She's such a loving heart and everything. And I'm afraid that she won't be able to, you know, I'm locked away where she can't be outside or play with a puppy or anything. Love nature, you know, and it's
That part has
that's my
always
greatest
stuck
fear,
out
that
to me
she's not able to
about being.
do any of
Enjoy
these
the
things
beautiful
anymore,
outdoors.
or that she could possibly, you know, I don't want to think she's dead, but it's a possibility. I don't want to address all the negativity. I just want to focus on the positive,
And find her
because
daughter.
it's so easy to get, you know, lost in that negativity and stuff, and it's just not worth it. So I'm just, I appreciate y'all, the good things you say, and your prayers. That's awesome.
When my sister went missing, I was in between Arkansas and Tennessee. I don't know.
Okay,
what
so
happened.
hold on now, because we're just about done with this, but I got to say something. Number one, you guys are free to have all the opinions you want about this interview. I'm going to try to keep it as neutral as possible, just because I think there's a difference between me broadcasting something to people with a potentially harmful message. Not that it would be, but, you know, and the people in the chat. However, okay, so here we hear her sister come up. This is the first that I've heard this, not now on social media. It came up very quickly, but I'm talking about in the interviews. Let's just listen, because Candace has a sister who is missing still to this day.
You say, and your prayers. That's awesome.
When my sister went missing, I was in between Arkansas and Tennessee. I don't know all of what happened or what did happen, but I hope that they find her too and bring her home safely too.
Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, she disappeared without a trace. They haven't found anything, haven't found a body, nothing. And you know, when you see cases like that, that's why I lose hope on Summer. You know, I want to keep hope, but sometimes I lose hope.
Lose it.
And I think, well, maybe we won't never see her again, you know. So I start thinking in past tense. Sorry.
Well, look here. this interview, many things stood out to me, the different stories about the head shaving, and at the time caused me to be very suspicious. The comments about being locked in a dungeon, about her not being alive, just the awkwardness on camera. Now, looking back, I do see it a little differently because the police have not made an arrest. And I think that that's a big part that we have to weigh into this. It is very odd to have two people in one family go missing like that. I think it was 10 years before Summer. I think we will get into that further down in the series, but let me just show you guys for a second what we're going to do, what else we have to look forward to. So July 16th, we have an interview with Robin Lane. That is the Sabbath school teacher of Summer. July 28th, we have the local news reporter who goes on Court TV. And then I think after that, we'll play the neighbors interview and stuff, which was from that November. That will be our episode 2. So that is the plan. I want to continue to go through everything from start to finish. And just like I said, looking at it the way that we are without all the social media nonsense. Now, after this live, I'm going to take like a 15-minute break, Foxy. So I'm so sorry to do that, but I have to go pee and just smoke a cigarette and get my stuff together. But we are doing a live on my second channel, Real Talk with Alex. And we're going to be talking about psychics and true crime. Thank you, Foxy. We're going to talk about psychics and true crime. Foxy is sensitive herself. We're going to talk about particular channels, and I just want to hear your guys' opinions and all of that stuff. Will one of the mods please drop the link to Real Talk with Alex, and then I'll drop the link to Foxy's channel. So in about 15 minutes, we'll be over there. I am so excited to talk about that. And Summer Wells is kind of what pushed that idea for me to do, because there was a reading that has came out, and it was very graphic about what potentially happened to Summer. And it was done by a psychic who has a lot of credibility due to her work on other cases. And I want to go back with you guys. I'm going to pull up her channel and kind of flip through the very first video I can find on that case, compare some dates, and just have like a laid back conversation. So I hope to see you guys over there. Thank you so much for joining me to go back through this case from the beginning. I get asked about it all the time, I think, because I covered it very heavily. And I just didn't feel right commenting on the case anymore. So this was like a compromise I could make where we could talk about the case, keep her pictures out there, which I need to get that new FBI. I don't have it on this computer. I'll have it for next time, the age progressed version of Summer, and just keep talking about her a little bit without doing any damage, because I want to be a lot more aware of that, in the future. So anyways, I hope to see you guys over there at Real Talk with Alex. It is scary. The reading is scary. And yeah, thank you for being here. I appreciate you so much. I hope to see you soon. We probably won't go to part 2 tomorrow, but it will be within the next few days. So, all right, you guys, thank you so much. I hope you have a lovely day. I hope to see you over there. Thank you to my mods, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay. Bye.